Hey there. So, I'm practicing in Photoshop. I have decent Illustrator skills, but my Photoshop's just so intense. So there's so much to learn. So I'm practicing this one new Photoshop skill, okay? And it's working precisely. And you can see, where's my pointer? It's in a brush right now. So, okay, you can see that I'm not great at it, but if I zoom in, you see how I have, although this edge, okay, anyway, these edges aren't pixelated. They're also not smooth because I don't have a smooth hand with a brush, especially when I'm just trying to get through these learning curves. But you can see a smooth line here, but not here. You can see a smooth line here. I feathered this edge a little bit. It's one thing I'm going to show you. But, you know, these are watercolor, I wouldn't say they're paintings, watercolor motifs, right? And these poor little jingle bell holes could really be better. But this is separate from this jingle bell. So, or this, you know, round circle shape. So you can get a nice smooth edge. I must have feathered this one. But I want to show you some of this smooth edge working precisely technique that I'm learning from Sherry London, who has this great set of tutorials. Again, they're pretty deep and pretty intense, but she's got Photoshop 1, which I'm still in, and Photoshop 2 over in textiledesignlab.com. And that's a $50 a month group membership. Get me painting in layers. I'm not really, you know, I'm not great at any one of these things, but I'm learning to combine my little mediocre skills in interesting ways. And to get this layout working well, and this is a metallic paint that I used, just a silver. So I don't know if I want to come back and stamp some of this smoothly, but I'm probably not going to play with this much more. Since it's the holidays, I wanted to use this as a learning curve. But I got this silver bell cut out beautifully. There's a little nick out of it, but this edge is great. So the actual little watercolor motif itself wasn't, you know, by no means had this smooth edge, and neither did this dot right here. So I want to teach you how to get these nice fine lines on an icon or a motif or whatever you want to call it. And you can critique my design or hate on it. It needs more flow, but I'm only going to spend so much time on this. It's a learning curve piece. All right, so what I want to do is grab a little holly leaf. And again, none of them are great, but we're going to grab a holly leaf. I'm going to move this over a little bit, only because it's in my face and bugging me. Grab a holly leaf and go through this working precisely. And what I'm gonna do in order to clean up some space is group this entire working space, okay? So here's some rough images. What is this? This is a photo I don't even think I need, so I'm gonna unlock it and delete it. The thing about Photoshop that's so powerful is that thing I just deleted, I can Command Z and it pops right back up. Now, if in case I deleted the wrong layer. Okay, so now I have this entire starter design in one layer, and then some rough materials in another layer. Looks like I'm missing an old layer of stuff, but I bet it's in here. I bet it is way down here. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not going there. It's not what we're doing. I'm going to turn this off so it's not distracting. I'm actually going to lock this layer and turn it off as well. And now I have a nice clean workspace, okay? So I have just been, that was my little recorder tool. I don't know if you can see these pop-ups. I have been going to what do you call it? Google Photos, because it's so easy to run around the planet. Sorry, this is some guy who was really being a jerk in traffic. Okay, and I'm gonna pick, oh, you know what? I'm missing some new icons. Huh, let me pause this, and I'm gonna upload some photos. Okay, those were not the photos I was looking for. I'm learning how to paint birds, so don't critique my art. It's a little bit tragic. So I want to steal some of these leaves, these little holly leaves. And as I'm gonna say a million times, none of these are great, but I'm gonna steal something from here and just make the most of it. Okay, so we'll steal this image. And so now again, I have this blank space. I'm gonna add a new layer, and I'm gonna paste. And I'm gonna make this big. I will probably pick, just so that I'm starting with a nice size. I forget in Photoshop, you don't have to hold down Shift. You know, in Illustrator, to maintain any sort of any amount of the original proportion of your photo or icon or whatever, you have to hold down the Shift key to scale it proportionally. And in Photoshop, if you hold down the Shift key, that's where it gives you permission to really morph your motif. So in order to scale an object proportionally in Photoshop, you don't hold down the Shift key. So anyway, it's always a trick, right? I think I like this one. Again, these just aren't great. It's sad. I could do 100 and they'd all be sort of half-assed and horrible. All right, so all I'm gonna do is come over here to my quick selection tool, especially against this white, because it's always the easiest. And I'm going to just hit, I'm on a PC, I'm gonna hit Control. If you're a Mac user, you guys know this, it's Command. So I'm gonna just Control Cut, Control X, and I'm gonna get a new layer and paste, okay? And then I am going to save this, I guess. Actually, I really like to, I'm gonna share this with you. Okay. The idea, because I just forgot it, so I'll share it with you. The idea of doing no damage. So even though we don't love this layer, it's a practice of designing or working in Photoshop where you do no damage to any given layer, okay? And there's a whole practice or construct around that. And, you know, it's just a skill set and a mindset and a practice. So I'm actually going to copy this, create a new layer, and paste it. And that way I don't do any damage to any given layer at any time. All right, I don't need this. I could completely delete that layer, but you never know when I want something, and then it'll be right there. So I usually keep my source material or scrap stuff down here. All right, so I'm gonna work with this leaf. We're just gonna make the most of it. I'm not even gonna add veins or anything to it. I do think I want it bigger so I don't have to strain my brain, but do you see how rough these are? These curves are. We're gonna smooth all this out, okay, and make it a little prettier. So in order, let's see if I can remember any of this. In order to do this, I'm going to select this again. And it's always just fastest to use quick selection. Bam, right? Although, look at this. Since this is the only icon I'm using and everything else is locked, we lock this. Though I just cannot imagine with it being, hidden, that it's gonna matter, but it's just good practice. Okay, but with this being the only motif, you can literally just, I think go to the selections. Oh, well, no, it's not true. All right, sorry. Let's get a quick selection because it's easiest. And it's now, oh, hello. I've literally never had that happen. But I'm usually not trying to record something in Photoshop because my skills aren't great. All right, so now this is completely selected and movable. Oh, but do you see this background? Do you see all this shadow stuff? I'm actually going to cut this layer, give myself a new layer. It is a great way to get some of the garbage. That's fantastic. And delete, yes, out of your work, okay? That periphery to get that gone. All right, so here's what you do. Oh, dagnabbit. Select it, select your object. It's supposed to be quick selection. What's happening here? And then here's where it selected the entire frame. If I go to this move around key, it should, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong layer. Oh Lord, let's do every mistake under the sun. Okay, this is selected now. Chaos is breaking loose. Something's banging around my door outside. So this leaf is selected, so go up to select and save selection. And you're going to, because where you want to work is in channels. So you're going to create a new channel. This is my document name. This was going to be a version of an Instagram post, but made from watercolor motifs, but I never got that far. I ended up doing a silly little vector pattern repeat, right? Repeat pattern. All right, I'm gonna call this, we're just gonna call it Christmas Holly Leaf is gonna be my channel name, and we're creating a new channel. And then we go over to channels, and what you're going to want to work with. Here's some old, here are the channels I had created for the, for this layer here, okay? So I'm gonna go to my Christmas Holly Leaf channel and click it. And then to activate it, okay, so then what I want to show you is, look at that, Christmas Holly Leaf. Here's the full leaf selected. Here's my selection, okay? So here's what to know about this channel. I want to control click on this channel to make sure it's activated, okay? And I'm gonna, and then, so what that does is bring up this black and white, your black and white color fill options. And then I want to come up to brush, and I want to make sure I'm using a round brush, and you ultimately can decide what size you want to work with. I like kind of a nice big brush. Let's see how big this is. That's pretty little, actually. That's not huge. Okay, that's a great size. It's not a great size, but it's the size I'm gonna use. It's the size I'm gonna use now. It's 149. I could make it 150 if I needed to give myself brain damage. I'm gonna zoom in, which I always use Control Plus. Okay, and again, you can judge all you want, but this is what we're working with. So all I have to do is make sure, so now wherever this red is, this is your mask area. This may seem obvious to some of you, but for those of you who don't get this, wherever this red is, this is your mask. So to add to this mask and shape my selected area, you want to be on the black, and the black will add more mask. And then the white will, see, let's just do that. The white will expand, oops, the white brush should, that's odd. Of course it's not working. Am I on the right? Huh. I'm gonna hit Q. Okay. But then I still want to activate this. Control, click. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna deselect. Okay. That's the problem. And you don't need to hit Q. I don't believe. Right. And if you do hit Q, it might make your world. Okay, so white, that's what it is. White will expand my selection range. So if I go back to control click and I come up here to RGB, regardless, wherever this white is, this, whatever this is, say there was something over here. I don't know how to explain this, but you don't want this white. You don't want this white here. And I don't want to be working in a clipping mask. I'm going to trash that. Yes. Okay. Do you see how now that my clipping mask is gone, I'm in my object again. Let me come up here. And now my selection area has included this space outside my leaf. Okay. There's a lot to this. And we'll go back to clipping mask here in a minute. But my point is, what you want to be on is, and you want to control click on this layer. You just want to make sure that this layer is activated. So control click is a great way to just ensure that you're working on this layer. All right, so then so white will expand your selection. White brush. And you don't want the marching ants while you're doing this. White will expand your selection out here, okay? But the black will give you more mask. And this is what we want. Okay, we want this layer we want this layer activated, but you don't want your object selected. Okay, so now I have red mask here, and it gave me a nice smooth line, which is why I love this. I love having learned this. It's a bit of a trick. Again, this is a Sherry London tutorial, Photoshop tutorial over at Textile Design Lab. And there is a monthly membership fee for that lab. But if you wanted to run through her courses for a couple of months, you could stick that in your budget and make that happen. It's not unreasonable. The value of this is huge. And look at this. I can just take this and smooth it out. I just think this tool is fantastic. I can take this and smooth this out. And I won't spend too much time doing this, but because I want to show you one other thing. I just love these smooth edges, even though it's a watercolor motif. I may love that, I may hate that. But again, it's just a little graphic, so you don't want to tweak and obsess and tweak over these things too much. It's fine. One thing I've learned, I've only been doing this, I've only been in this learning curve, let's say. I'm really not even sending anything out to market, but I've been in this learning curve. I'm getting ready to send stuff out to market. I've been in this learning curve a year and a half, mostly starting with Illustrator and trying to understand the industry a little bit and trying to get my head around what's marketable art. I don't think this is going to turn out to be anything I can market, but I'm not sure, right? Hold on, let me just finish this. Okay, Now, what I've gotten rid of is some of that nice watercolor edgy thing, but I like this cleaner for a graphic. And again, there are a million things you could do to this to make it better. But this tool is so great. Okay, so here's a nice clean edge. Let's see if I can remember the next piece in an efficient manner. Okay, so then I'm gonna want to, so this is the shape I want. Okay, and then I'm gonna, I don't know why you're doing that. And then I'm gonna want to go to, I'm gonna go, oh, sorry. It's Control click to activate my selection, okay? That's fantastic. Okay. Then I want to go to clipping mask for a couple of reasons. So you'll hit Q. I believe that'll get me there. Quick mask, okay? And then you double click on quick mask. Oops. Cancel. Oh, oh no, that's not true. I don't need this quick mask. You can do the same thing I showed you in quick mask that you can in this channel. Okay, you don't have to have it, but there are options there too. All right, what I want to do is go over to layers, sorry. And I want to hit, because this is Adobe Creative Cloud, what I want to add is a layer mask. I don't know how to do this in an older see, there's a big ding right here. I don't know how to do this in an older version of Adobe Photoshop, but you probably do. All right, so I want to get rid of that ding. I want to soften up these layers. So how I do that, I believe, and I could be wrong. Okay, is to double click your clipping mask. Okay, and you can really see that it's rough, and I probably should have made this rounder, blah, blah, blah. But, and there are more tools down here, and these are what I want. I want to select and mask, and I want to see this on a black background. It gave me gray. There's a little funky edge. So what I want to do is clean up these edges a little bit more. Black and white, which we've already seen. On black. My marching ants. This is just a great tool. Okay, this is the view. I'm gonna go back to, oh look, there was my original. Okay, and I'm sure there are just so many more ways to use this with more precision, but this is basic precision, okay? So what I wanna do is, not that, is I want to change the opacity. I may want to change the radius. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. But I can eliminate some of my radius. So I got rid of a little bit of that black, you see? Made my radius smaller. And then I want to shift my edge a little bit smaller. I want to make my whole thing, it's not following me quickly. So this should tighten up my edge. Let me do this view. So maybe you can see this. This should be, I don't know if I have preview off. High quality preview. This should be eliminating my edge a little bit. I wanted to narrow my edges. Okay. And then I want to add some contrast, which will sharpen up my edges. But I also want to feather just a little bit. I'm going to turn off this view and go to on white. Layers. Okay, I like that. I want to feather my edge. Okay. Okay, look at that. That's probably a little too much, but that solved a lot of my problems. And since I won't be converting this to Illustrator, it's just going to be a practice. Look at that. Okay. And then I can smooth that feather. It's probably a lot. It's probably way too much feather. I might then just increase the contrast. Look at that. Okay, that gives me, okay, this is really what I want. Let me see if I can smooth this a little bit more. I'm gonna shift this edge in. I'm giving it negative. I may wanna, I don't know if I'm giving myself space or losing space. Okay, now I gave myself space. I want to lose some of this leaf. Lose some of this edge. Okay. All right, you see how it just cleans that up so well. And I don't mind this. I guess I could feather it a little bit more and lose a little more of that. My preview is not happening. Oh, look, like a lot of it. Preview is not happening. That's interesting. That's a great tool, right? That's a great tool. Okay, I think we're gonna stay with this so I don't lose too much of this. Really fun. Okay, and then you're gonna hit OK. And then you're going to take this fabulous little layer and you're going to convert this to a smart object. Okay, because that, again, that goes back to working in layers where you're not doing any harm. So because this is a smart object, even if I wanted to rasterize it, which I think I probably will have to do at some point, even if I wanted to rasterize it, I could keep this smart object layer and then create a duplicate layer and rasterize that object in case I needed to go back and change this motif at any time. So anyway, I wanted to share that whole thing with you, and I'm going to zoom out, which is Control minus, and then I'm going to come down here to my layer I was working in, and I'm gonna want this underneath that group. I think, who knows? I'm not gonna hold you guys hostage, but I'm not sure. But again, I can reduce this, and I'm gonna turn these bells into berries. So here's one leaf. Oops. I don't use free transform as often as I should. Transform. And this is not Illustrator. So I want to come over here to transform and I want to hit flip horizontal and it be a copy, but Photoshop does not do it quite like that. Quite as conveniently. I should be able to, copy and paste. Great. And then I can, there's no quick key for this either. Edit, transform, flip vertical. I actually like that. So I can, so if I wanted to cut off these stems, oops, which might be something I'm gonna need to do, you would have to rasterize this. So you would really want to make a copy of your original. Let's just do this. I'm going to duplicate layer, and I'm going to call this Holly Leaf Original. Okay. And I'm sure that, again, it's Photoshop. There are a million ways to do any of these objects, but I just wanted to show you that working precisely. I'd really like this to be at the bottom, my little storage area. Okay. Now that's just a stored motif. And this one, I'm gonna wanna edit. Now what I can do is, click in this box and go back to this, and this is just this one layer. It's not gonna edit all of my holly leaves, it's only gonna edit this one. And I can take this eraser tool, and let's just say I want this stem to just be able to attach like it's growing out of another layer. Let's go back into this. Let's go back into my channels. Great. Turn this on and do this again. My black with my brush and my black selected. I'm just gonna highlight this. This way, I'm gonna give this a little bit of a curve. This way, that's too much. This particular leaf, you see how I already erased that? Let's erase that damage. But this particular leaf is available. I'm just gonna give this a roundedness because I think it'll give me options. This particular layer now, and again, this is in channels, is now, I'm gonna control save this. Okay, good. Is now available with a variation. Look how easy that was. Okay. I don't know why I have a copy or a duplicate. Oh, because I haven't turned this one off. Das ist fine. Oh, and it changed both of those. Oops. Hollyleaf original. Okay. So anyway, it gives me options now. Okay. That's great. So then I'll probably gather these and merge these layers and float this motif. I'll probably add one more leaf, merge these into one layer, and stamp them around this object and throw a Merry Christmas and a background in here. I'll probably gather all of these up, which they already are gathered in this group, and reduce this whole Jingle Bell ribbon thing down. You know, put a 3-leaved holly with some red berries here in a couple strategic places and write Merry Christmas on here over a background. And then we have something. I don't know if I'm going to leave these in here in a pattern. I don't know, right? But I wanted to show you that working precisely feature with watercolor that I think is amazing. All right, I won't keep you anymore. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Oops. Here we go. Bye.